Welcome, Internet, to the Pixel Play Podcast, your weekly podcast where we get together to discuss some of the major topics occurring in the gaming industry. I'm your host, Kaylan, aka Ktastrophy, joined as always by my co-host, Adam, CSRadical. This week we're going to be talking about God of War Ragnarok coming to PS4. We're going to be doing our wish lists and predictions for E3, and I'm going to be coming to you with our final untimely review for Cyberpunk 2077. A couple of things before we get started, a couple housekeeping notes. If you like what you're hearing, we really would appreciate you guys giving us a review wherever you're listening to this podcast. We can be found on Pixel Play Podcast or Pixel Playcast, both on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to subscribe and like on our comments, we would really appreciate that. One other piece of note keeping, next week I am going to be joining the crew at Project X Talk to give them a Sony fanboy perspective of what happened at E3 next week. That could be caught next week on the Project X Talk podcast. So let's dive right into it. Adam, first question as always, how are you doing today?
I'm dying.
Yeah?
I'm dying. Okay, let me turn around and see. It's 28.2 degrees Celsius in this room right now. It is not fun. This is what happens when you don't have air conditioning.
Man, you gotta get air conditioning. When are you gonna pull the trigger on that?
Probably next year, because I really genuinely thought about it this year. I really did. And then my brain just kept going, it's a pandemic. Do I really want to go through the trouble of getting the air conditioner, figuring out how I'm going to get acrylic glass cut so I can patch up the hole? Because apparently in the building you're not allowed plywood because it's going to make the building look bad, even though I'm literally on the side facing another building where no one notices it. So There's all these things, and I'm like, it seems like a lot of work when I can't go inside.
So I was going to say, your thought process is, hey, I'm trapped indoors, and everywhere that is air conditioned is shut down. I don't think I need it this year. Like, this would be the year to get air conditioning.
See, I've already done 2 years without it. I just usually have a fan. The difference is my gaming used to be in the main room, which is a lot bigger, and this one isn't. And I also stream more, which means having a fan next to the microphone hearing is probably not the greatest idea when you're trying to have good content. So I don't know. I guess I'm going to be choking down some humidity on this summer over my own dumbass, but we'll see how it goes the rest of the way.
Yeah, that sounds terrible. I've said it before. Air conditioning is a necessity in my house. I will go without heat, but I will not go without air conditioning. Adam, let's just jump right into it. We got a lot to talk about this week, and by a lot, I mean we've just got not a lot to talk about, but we've got
there's a lot of potential to talk about, I guess we could say.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought we could just jump right into it. Before we get into all like the E3 and that kind of fun stuff, I thought we could just talk about probably one of the major stories that is occurring right now, and that is coming out of PlayStation. There was a newspaper article, well, not a newspaper article, but there was an article that came out talking about how some of what we thought were PS5 exclusives are not so exclusive anymore. This is coming from IGN, let's see, and it is written by Adam Bankhurst, and he's talking about how Herman Hulst was doing a Q&A on the PlayStation blog, and some of the things that came out that were really interesting. One, God of War Ragnarok is being delayed, which I don't think anyone is really surprised by or shouldn't be surprised by. But what has rattled a few feathers is the idea that some exclusives are coming to PS4. So in particular, what I think got a lot of people riled up is the idea that God of War Ragnarok is going to be coming to the PS4 instead of being a PS5 exclusive. Now, this obviously angered a bunch of people, and they were kind of upset. And I guess my question to you, Adam, is should people be surprised and should people be upset that God of War Ragnarok is going to be a PS4 and PS5 game?
The short answer is no. The long answer is no.
Why do you say that?
Because how many people have a console right now? Like, it's really saying, by the way, all you people that can't get one, you can't play this game. It's like saying to anybody right now who can't build a PC because you can't get graphics cards anywhere, hey, I know you really want to play games on Steam right now because the summer sale's coming up, but too bad. It's like, guys, any other point in the years, like any other time that isn't pandemic time, we can have this conversation. But we're not talking about a full, like a console that's had about a year to get its footing Sure, it's like 6 months and change, but realistically, we're getting close to a year. Yeah, we could understand people being like, okay, no, we should be getting some decent exclusive games by now. But we didn't make nearly as many consoles as we should have made at this point. Not to mention that none of them were ever really sold in-store, so scalpers have taken a shit ton of them, more than they ever should be. So we're talking about a very limited customer base. Why do you think so many games right now on PS5 are dead? Why do you think Destruction All-Stars, even though it was free for PlayStation Plus, is dead and is so dead that the developers are putting bots in the online game just to make the people, like the 20 people left playing it, at least enjoy it? It's because there isn't enough people. I sat here and said, like, look, I'm okay with waiting, but at the same time, I'm not okay with waiting for games I want to play. Because if I can't get the thing that I need to play the thing I want, especially, like, it's not a thing of I don't have the money. It's the thing of I can't get it. That's bullshit. Like, you should be able to stand in line at a store to get your console. If there's literally no way for you to get one, and you're told that, by the way, this thing that you really want, you literally have no way of getting it, that's a pretty shitty thing to do to a customer. And like I said, any other time, I'd say, you'll get to play it in 6 months at most. This time, it's like, you might get to play it next year. But I mean, that's not an issue because it was going to be delayed anyway. So I guess in contrarian to that argument, it's like, well, there might be, more consoles out by the time this game comes out. Well, we still might have shortages according to most people, so that might still be a factor next year. So we got to keep that in mind. It just comes down to, like, most of the arguments that I've seen are related on, like, oh, it's going to reduce its power. It's not going to be as, like, amazing a game. The Horizon, I believe, we were told it was actually first designed for PS4 and just got a graphics update for PS5. So, like, I would imagine God of War Ragnarok's probably in a similar boat, that it started its development on PS4 and slowly worked its way into getting, like, a little bit heavier on the processing power for, say, a PS5. But I don't think their intention from the very beginning was to make this an exclusive. And it just made it easier for them during the pandemic to actually make that decision that it was not going to be exclusive to one console.
See, I'm of the opposite mind. I mean, I do understand, it is beneficial for those of us who couldn't get a PS5 that they can now play it when it comes out day and date. However, I think that's a bad reason alone to make this game be a PS4 and PS5 game. I think, first of all, having it as a PS4 game, you're going to have to make decisions in the game development and the designing of it to reflect the fact it's on a PS4. So you're going to have those typical sort of squeeze through a crevice or something like that to get to the next level to help with those loading times. I don't think there's going to be a way to remove those loading times from the game for a PS5 version, but then still have it for a PS4. So I think you're not going to be able to take advantage of things like the SSD. Like, you're still going to have those buffering cutscenes in there to kind of help with the PS4 version. So I do think that there's going to be some sort of, not necessarily a downgrade, or like it's not going to make the game worse, but it's not going to be its full potential by having it be a PS4 and PS5 game. In terms of the idea of it being like not making it because some people are available. Like, I was trying to remember the PS4, and when that came out, you had things like Infamous Second Son, and you had Killzone Shadowfall, which was, both of them were PS4 exclusives, and they never made a PS3, iteration of those games. And I think that, especially those games really benefited from the fact that the PlayStation 3 wasn't kind of holding it back in terms of what it can do. And I think that, God of War and Horizon, maybe I could see an argument for it because it is within that first launch window, but the fact that Ratchet and Clank isn't having a PS5 release, and I don't think Returnal did either, Demon's Souls didn't either, it was pretty much just Miles Morales, and God of War and Horizon are the ones that have been confirmed.
Well, you notice the trend in there then. It's all like the biggest ones. They're trying to get the most at launch, whereas you're talking Demon's Souls, which is a very hardcore niche. You're talking Returnal, which is a new IP. And you're talking Ratchet, which, let's be honest, that game was specifically designed with the SSD in mind. So
no, I know.
So it's like what people are expecting between the two different games. Like, I know people are going to go back to some of these exclusives, say like Killzone, Shadowfall, and stuff like that, to which it was, again, I'll go back to being like, was that series like literally the biggest thing? To which I say, by that point,
I would say
so much.
Infamous. I would say Infamous at that point was like, I would say, you know, at the end of the PS3, Infamous was one of the big franchises. You had Uncharted, you had Last of Us, and I would say Infamous was probably the third one there.
Well, Last of Us, because Last of Us was on both. Actually, sorry, Last of Us came out first on PS3 and got the remaster.
And then got the remaster, yeah.
I mean,
I don't think, like, so my thought is, like, if you look at something like, I mean, we haven't played Ratchet and Clank yet, but I'm looking at how that game is looking in terms of, you know, doing all of the quick loading with the portals and, you know, the lack of load times that we're hearing in the reviews. And I think that's awesome. And it's something I'd like to see with God of War. Imagine going through, you know, different like areas and stuff and not having to have that, you know, the Bifrost reaching his tentacles and doing all that kind of like those cutscenes that they do for loading. And I mean, it's fine. It doesn't take away from the game, but it also doesn't add to it. And I think, you know, at first when this was being done, we thought it was revolutionary to see like Nathan Drake squeeze through a crevice. And you're like, oh my God, there's no load times. Like, where are these load times? But now we kind of know, like, okay, this is cool, but it's a loading screen.
Well, I mean, so sorry, you can finish what you're doing there.
No, I was just gonna say. So for me, like, I get that there's a huge market base for the PS4, but I feel like Sony, especially, like, they need more exclusives. And I think by having games in 2022. And I'm assuming that God of War is going to be a summer game at the earliest in 2022. Like, a lot of people are going to have the PS5 by that point, and a lot of people are going to want to have reasons to justify their console. And if it's being held back by the PS4, you know, it's not going to be firing on all cylinders like it could. Especially something as big as God of War.
Yeah, but I mean, the question that we asked is, should people be mad? To which I say, no, you shouldn't be mad. You should just be like, kind of like disappointed-ish. Like, I've seen people rage about it, and I'm like, guys, you still get to play the game. It's not like it's only on PS4, and even if that was the case, it's backwards compatible. This isn't PS3. So it's not like people who are friggin' furious when some games were, like, only, like, you can't play your old PS3 games or stuff that you missed that was only released on that for some reason, and it misses that. We're not having this conversation, so, like, you're only mad just because apparently you're not going to get God of War, like, 25% better. Like, if you guys are really that trusting in Sony, Horizon Forbidden West, God of War Ragnarok, those two games will still be incredible. It just might not have all the like. And I'm also wondering too, like, how different is it going to be apart from things like loading times and stuff? Which, don't get me wrong, I love the fact that we're getting these better things now. But I mean, realistically, we're not 10 years removed from loading screens being a thing of the past. We're talking about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And for most games, we aren't really seeing too much of a difference in comparison to like what we're going to see 2-3 years down the line when we see people really getting what the power of this console can do. So we're talking about things that, quite frankly, we aren't even accustomed to yet. So I'm more just like, I'm not that annoyed by it. I mean, I'm more just like, I'm okay that everybody gets to play games, and I'm more going to take the side of the majority of fans that get the chance to play these games, because in a time like this, and like I said, this is only a pandemic thing. If this was a normal year, we'd probably have a much different conversation on this, or at least I would. I'd still be like, hey guys, don't rage over it, but I'd also be like, hey Sony, like, you're going to put all of your major franchises on everything here, you're going to actually have one that really sets you apart from Xbox. But because we're in this such an anomaly of a couple of years right now, I'm willing to be like, dude, do whatever you got to do to keep as many people happy right now, because I think people are looking for something to smile about at this point.
You know, it's kind of hard because you're making me feel like I'm like, you know, the entitled privilege kind of like top of my tower, being like, no, like, you cannot play my games.
I would say that wasn't my goal, but I mean, if it works to get you to come back to my side, you know what? I'll keep playing that card. Let's go.
I guess for me, it's just, like, I'm one trying to advocate that people should be raging and death threatening and everything like that. That's dumb. These are video games. Nothing matters about this. This is inconsequential. We're talking about basically media. Well, even my question, like, even if I was to respond to that being like, does it matter that it's going on PS4? My answer is still no, it doesn't matter. It's fine. The game will still be like an 8, 9, 10 out of 10. You're still going to love it, albeit unless something crazy happens. Please don't let me jinx this. But I mean, if everything's fine, we're still going to love the game, and we're not going to notice like a few going under a tree trunk to get through something, or like going through a little crevice. Like, you're not going to notice it because you're going to be too busy worrying about the next thing you get to throw an axe at, or the next giant metal robot that you get to friggin' take an arrow to. Like, we're not going to be thinking too hard about it, because most of the things that PS5
if it was exclusive, would be doing with this game are not nearly as transformative as we sometimes think it is, but it's all the little things that would add over time.
I guess from my perspective, and I hear exactly what you're saying, is it going to matter? No. I mean, people, talk about like Breath of the Wild and how amazing of a game that was. And that game was also released on the Wii U and the Switch. So like I can see that argument, but I guess for me is that the messaging going into Sony is that, we believe in it. We believe in iterations of consoles. We believe in like, console generations. And, they had this whole talk of like, they're not doing backwards compatibility. They're not doing like, this is the next generation. And now that's changed in that, you kind of do believe in transitioning between consoles. And so it kind of, I don't know, it seems disingenuous to the people who did, spend the money to get a next gen console hoping to get the benefits. And no offense though, but like, I feel like as a PS5 owner, like it hasn't really been unlocked yet. Like, and I mean, it's also the choices of games that I'm playing, but like in the 6 months that we've had, the big games that we've had release are Demon's Souls, Miles Morales, which was a PS4 game as well, Returnal, and Ratchet and Clank. And of those two, Demon's Souls, Returnal, and Ratchet were the only ones that are exclusive to PS5.
At the same time, we're also less than a year into this console's life cycle, and there's still plenty of things that we have no idea that are coming yet. Mm-hmm. Definitely in the next 12 months, too, that are going to be really going nuts. Because, I mean, look, I get it, too. Like, I think we're both at this point where we get each other's side here.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, like, which do you prefer over the other? And to me, I'm like, dude, like, I was fine. Like, I literally have the PS5 version of Watch Dogs Legion in my collection now, and I've been starting to tinker with that. It still wouldn't have made too much of a difference. Actually, that's a lie. I played the performance mode and the 30 frames mode. I hate 30 frames now. But you would still get 60 frames whether the game was specifically exclusive or not. And that's really the only thing that I'm too caring about right now. Like, as a guy who's never been big into PC gaming, believe me, PS5 games having 60 frames per second capability is actually life-changing. Anything else, like loading times, I can deal with a 2-second clip of me going through a friggin' cliff crevice if it means I get consistent 60 frames per second this entire way through. I'm fine with that. I'm cool. I can deal with it.
Fair enough.
It's just like, I heard what you said too about like, oh, well, Sony said they believed in generations. I'm like, yes, Sony probably believed in generations without a virus killing hundreds of thousands of people going on at the same time. So that's, I know it's going to sound like I keep using that excuse, but we don't have a precedent like this in the video game industry. What do you expect me to go to?
I don't know. I feel like for stuff like, and I'll leave it at this. I feel like these decisions to go PS4 existed beyond the pandemic. Like, I can't imagine that.
Well, I mean, we were told at the very beginning that Ragnarok was supposed to be PS5 exclusive, so there had to be a reason as to why they changed their mind, right?
Yeah.
And I can only think of one thing. Like, what's it really going to be?
I guess maybe it is. Maybe it's not that hard for them to upgrade or downgrade for one or the other.
And I mean, as far as I've seen, even the PS5 versions of games continually get like better updates. Like Watch Dogs is about to get a 60 frame per second ray tracing update soon. Mm-hmm. So like, it's still possible that they can do a lot of things to kind of like make it as good as it possibly can be. There just might be a couple of tiny things like you said, the whole like crawling into like a hollow log or something to kind of just take some of it so that the PS4 can still run the same thing. To which, I mean, we're going to see it too with Horizon very soon, assuming it comes out this year, which I hope it is. Otherwise, we're going to all feel real stupid by the end of this.
Yeah.
That the only thing we're going to notice differently is the frame rate and just how amazing the foliage texture is going to be.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens with it. Yeah. I'm skeptical. I'm kind of disappointed, but I don't think
I got no problem with disappointed.
Yeah.
I'm sad too. I'm just it's hard for me to be sad because I'm going to play this cardigan on you because apparently it works. I feel like I'm an asshole if I'm sad for me and not for the tens of millions of people that wouldn't be able to play this game. So, Kaylan, you're the worst person on this planet, and everybody should be shaming you right now. So specifically, email pixelplaypodcast@gmail.com and tell Kaylan how much of a selfish, entitled douchebag he is.
You know what? We could even just save it on the email. You just let us know in the comments. If you're watching this on YouTube, just put us in the comments. How wrong am I in terms of it coming to God of War coming to PS4 versus PS5? Once again, I'm not advocating for like harm or like, flipping out on people. Like, these are just video games. But I think from from a fan of Sony, like, I'm just disappointed with the decision. But let us know in the comments what you think about God of War coming to PS4. Adam, let's turn around and let's talk about something a little bit more positive. Have you looked at the calendar recently?
Is that a rhetorical question? This is like the one thing we get to talk about for the next like couple of weeks. Lord knows I better know.
Yeah, Adam, if you haven't looked at the calendar, this week coming up is going to be E3. We did our sort of speculation, or we kind of put our thinking caps on, and we went through some of the big rumors to see what games we thought were going to be coming, but we didn't actually talk about what we wanted to see or what we thought were coming. So I figured right before the E3 goes live, we could kind of share some of our thoughts and what we think are going to go on, maybe start some of our own rumors, and just give our own sort of wish list. So I think you and I came out with about 10 different things we expect or want to see.
Yeah, I've got I think 11, and that's just based on all the shows that I think I can make a prediction for. Some of them are just complete like jokes, and then some of them are like way off the board, and then some of them are like, it's probably a thing that could happen.
Okay, so how do you want to do this? Do you want to just kind of randomly share them, or would you like to
just randomly go? Because I think you're gonna have a different format than me, because I have one for each show, and you probably have like a bunch of like ones all over the place.
I have guesses for Ubisoft, EA, WB, and Microsoft, and I have a random one.
Okay.
So maybe what we can do is we can do by show, and then if you have one that I don't, then you can just kind of
okay. Can I get the 2 shit posts out of the way then?
Go for it, sir.
All right. So for Koch Media, because I don't think anything of interest is going to be there, since Deep Silver apparently is not bringing anything. My one shit post for that is like, actually, lol, Deep Silver was just kidding, and we get a Saints Row 5 trailer.
Oh yeah, that's definitely.
It won't happen, but
why not?
Because apparently they said so, and you have to trust the internet word.
No, they've just released a whole bunch of the Saint Rows. We haven't gotten one in a while. It is due to come.
Well, they straight up said like Deep Silver wasn't going to be bringing any of their major stuff, like no Time Splitters, no Saints Row, and I can't remember what the other thing was, but like nothing of like note. To which I go, then what are we doing here?
Are they bringing a new IP?
Maybe, but I'm still like, okay, but no one cares about your new IP because we want to see the stuff that you are owing us.
Adam, they've got the sequel to Agents of Mayhem coming out.
As I said, things that people want to see. And then,
all right, what's your
my other shitpost one was for Summer Game Fest, because I mean you can't really predict what's going to be there because you don't know specifically who's showing up. So I made a joke because we know Weezer is going to be playing something there.
Rock Band.
So I said, you know what? Weezer comes out, plays Beverly Hills to a GTA 6 trailer just for funsies.
I thought you were going to say they're going to come out with like a Weezer version of like Rock Band. They're bringing it back, and it's going to be the Weezer edition.
Oh God, please! I'm trying not to hate myself further because Lord knows I don't need to. No, I can't go to Rock Band coming back. It won't work now.
No, not with everyone social distancing at least.
All right, so otherwise, you give me a show and your prediction. I'll follow up, and then we'll figure out what's
I wasn't thinking
there in
about
the open.
I didn't have this, but I figured we'll go with the game show. Jeff Keighley and Hideo Kojima are pretty close friends, and they do a lot. What are the chances the next Hideo Kojima game is teased or announced at Summer Game Fest?
At best, you will probably get a title and maybe an image if you're lucky. I don't think you're going to see anything beyond that.
No, I'm not saying we're going to get like a whole teaser trailer or anything, but it'll be, you know...
It might even be Kojima just standing up there being like, I can't wait to show you the next thing I have, and he doesn't even say what it is, just because...
It'll be called Ghost Whales.
I expect the least from Jeff Keighley because he literally had Tom Holland present an award at the Games Awards, and everybody assumed it was going to be an Uncharted trailer after that, and nothing happened. So I would not be shocked if Kojima shows up, says hello, and then just walks off.
Classic bait and switch.
I mean, it's Kojima. What else? You can expect anything with Kojima, so...
Yeah. So I'm going to start with Ubisoft. I've got 2 for Ubisoft. One is a wish, and I've talked about this several times. Splinter Cell comes back, and it's going to be...
There is a rumor that they might be doing something that puts them, Division, and I think it was Ghost Recon like all together somehow, and I'm like, oh crap! Don't tell me I'm going to eat crow for Splinter Cell being a thing.
Oh, that might be good. Like,
but if it's not a Splinter Cell game, does it count? If it's just a game that Sam Fisher happens to be in.
I am talking a stealth action adventure kind of true Splinter Cell.
So if it's basically a third-person action game and Sam Fisher happens to be there, it doesn't count? I want to shake hands on this because I don't want to have to eat crow for like a half.
Here's what we'll do. It is going to be a Splinter Cell game, and as long as it's prime, you can play the whole game as Sam Fisher, and you have...
Uh-oh. I think we lost Kaylan. Oh, crap. We're not even streaming. Boo. All right, he's back from the digital dead here. So before we so unceremoniously got cut off by the internet or Microsoft or whatever it may be. I mean, everything's against us usually. You know, we're not even streaming. That's the worst part.
You know what I think it is, Adam? I think Ubisoft heard me and they know what I'm thinking. That I'm spitting truth and they're shutting me down.
Well, again with that, we were coming off with a not a bet of sorts, but like close. So again, what are we talking about in order for me not to have to eat crow over a Splinter Cell game?
So I will say, for this to work, we will say it is features Sam Fisher as a main playable character. You can play the entire game as Sam Fisher. Stealth is a required aspect of it. And yeah, so a stealth game featuring Sam Fisher will be the requirement.
What if it's like multiple different kinds of content? Like there's like 1 or 2 levels in the game that's Sam Fisher Splinter Cell levels, and then the rest of it's like normal third-person stuff depending on what you're playing.
Yeah, I wouldn't count that.
Okay,
but now you kind of got me on a second option because I was like, Splinter Cell sounds good, but now like imagine a game just called like Operators, and it's basically sort of like a Ghost Recon situation, but you can have different people playing different roles at different times. So you have your third echelon like Splinter Cells, you have your Ghost Recon guys. I don't know if you could fit the Division.
That would only be funny just because I would love to have a game where like you have somebody trying to play the game like a Splinter Cell game, and then like 2 people just roll in and start throwing grenades everywhere just to screw it up.
I can see it.
That would only be entertaining for the fact that like you play that with your friends and like piss the one guy off who's a big Splinter Cell fan and be like, guys, I'm trying to do the thing.
He spent 45 minutes just trying to sneak in, and then you just blow it up.
And one rocket launcher shot later.
Yeah. Search the area. Yeah, so I'm going to say I'd like to see like I'm hoping for, and I'm kind of thinking we're going to get a proper Splinter Cell sequel.
Now, I think you said you had 2. Do you remember what the second one was?
I do. So I'm not able to get back into Microsoft Word, but I'm going to go with off my list. The second one I think that we're going to see is we're going to be seeing something from, and this could be one of 2. Either we see a Division 3, which I think will take place in Las Vegas. But now I'm going to throw another one out there. We get a teaser trailer for the Ubisoft Star Wars game.
I wouldn't be surprised by that.
Yeah. Because I think Ubisoft said that they are bringing something from their Montreal studio, which is where they're working on the Star Wars game. So nothing serious, nothing intense, but just like a teaser trailer of what's happening.
Okay. So the one thing I'll add into the pot, it's a much smaller thing. It's just something... Not everything that I go with is going to be like this crazy prediction. Sometimes I go with like, you know what would be really cool? This. So my brain went, because I'm just started playing Watch Dogs Legion... I thought, you know, it'd be cool since you already can have like special agents in this game as like some of your characters. Get a John Wick DLC in Watch Dogs Legion. That would be awesome. Get like Keanu Reeves friggin' just walking around like with next to the old lady with a taser, just knocking shit out of the park. That would be hilariously fun.
Just like, hello, I'd like to take a moment at the hotel, please.
Like, why not? Sounds like a great idea to me.
It'd be awesome. And like even just having like an Easter egg there, like a John Wick character.
I mean, basically the special agent characters in that game are pretty much John Wick, so I figured the framework's already there. All you gotta do is slap a skin on it.
Yeah, I agree.
Although Keanu Reeves would have to do some voice acting. It'd be pretty weird if you put him with some random British accent.
Oi, mate, it's me, John Wick. Gonna be shooting up some people, doing some fight now. Maybe grab a pint at the pub.
It would be kind of funny, though. Yeah,
I agree. Adam, throw me another one. What else you got?
All right, I got a small one that I would actually like to see. Devolver Digital. There were 2. I wanted to go the joke route and being like, they need to have a VR game that's literally just like you inside one of their E3 shows because they're so fucking bizarre.
Oh, they're so weird.
But I'm like, you know what? I'll do something a little more like realistic. So have you ever seen their games, the Viscera cleanup service games?
Maybe remind me.
It's the game where literally all you're doing is going to like a place where clearly some massive gratuitous amounts of murder happened, and you're just like slowly mopping up and cleaning up all the body parts.
Okay, yeah.
I want that, and them working with Microsoft as a crossover, doing that with Doom.
So you're just cleaning up all
just
the dead
cleaning
bodies?
up demon parts.
Just going around with
you're on a lab in Mars, just sitting there, just slowly just washing away all the Caco demon like friggin' pieces are all over the place.
Fucking Doomslayer, just making my job difficult. You couldn't just,
and it'd be perfect.
Just like you see the guy walks and he's just like, what the hell happened here?
I mean, if it's the same guys that have done the previous games, he's probably sitting there being like, it's not the worst I've seen.
This isn't the worst I've seen. All right. I'm gonna switch it over to EA. I
think EA is in July, isn't it?
Is it? I thought they're doing something. EA.
Let me check. I thought I saw something saying it was gonna be in July. I love how I search EA Play 2021 and I get no answer. That's kind of annoying.
Oh, yes. My apologies. It is July 2022. So disregard that. We can talk about that later.
Their dream prediction. EA plays actually in June.
Surprise. All right. I'll throw out my Warner Brother ones because Warner Brothers going to be there on June 13th. The hell did I have for the Warner? You know what, Adam, go for it. I'm just going to try and remind myself what I had.
I didn't even have one for Warner Brothers because I'm like, I think they've already said exactly what they're doing. So I don't think there's any surprises in there. Because I don't think they're going to pull out a Superman game on us. I think it's just going to be Suicide Squad and Gotham Knights. I don't think they're even having like a crazy long show. I think it's more just them showing off a couple of trailers, right?
Yeah, you're probably right. I had one here, but I've lost my notes, and so
I mean, if I had a funky one, I'd just say, okay, Injustice 3, let's go.
Yeah, Injustice. Yeah, because they did do the Mortal Kombat ones, and that would be an awesome one to have. Oh, we'll see the Hogwarts Legacy game. That's what it was.
Oh, that's right.
The Hogwarts Legacy will probably get a full, gameplay trailer for that one.
I hope to God it doesn't suck because everything is telling me that it's not going to be a good project, but
Yeah. No, I think it'll come out good, and I'm excited to see that one. So, that was the one for EA.
All right, I'll pull out another random one. Let's go with PC Gaming Show.
Okay.
Always something interesting there. And I'm going to go with, just because of what happened last year where they revealed Persona 4 Golden coming over PC, I think it'd be really cool of Atlas to come out and say, okay, Persona 5 Royal this time going to be on PC, which I think would make a lot of people happy too, because now that they've gotten one, now they want it all. They could even shock us by saying, oh, and by the way, Persona 3 Portable, I guess Persona 3 Portable would be the biggest version, although it's complicated. There's like 4 different versions of that game in various places, but P5R would be the one I think would be pretty cool. And I'd love to see that because I know a lot of people that have never had the chance to play a Persona game because they haven't had PlayStation, and they finally got the opportunity, and they love that game. So
yeah. Okay. I'm going to switch it over to Xbox now. And this isn't what I'm necessarily wishing for, but I'm going to make this is my long shot kind of guess.
I was going to say, I don't have one specifically for that because neither of us own the console that it's worth on. So
Xbox amalgamates Xbox Live into Game Pass. So they just get rid of all those tertiary ones. Game Pass becomes the sole, service that you subscribe to. And they released the Microsoft Stick thing where you can just pay for the service and get it through your Samsung.
Oh, the TV stick that they were talking about for a while?
Exactly.
Yeah, that'd be pretty nice. I'm going to go shitposty on this one because I actually sat down and tried to think of what I could say would be a good one for Xbox and Bethesda. And I'm like, I don't really care for much that Bethesda's doing right now, so I can't go from there. And Xbox, I haven't been head over heels for any of their major stuff in forever. Because the last time there was something close was that, I think it was Scalebound, the one with Platinum Games that they were supposed to be working on and got canceled. But I'm not going to say a Halo game or a Gears of to me those don't change or don't turn the needle for me in any way. So I went full funny on this one. So somehow, this is literally verbatim as I wrote it down. Somehow Xbox Game Pass on PS4, PS5, and we watch console warriors struggle to decide whether to cheer or freak the hell out.
Yeah.
Because you know that console war lovers would be so conflicted because it's exactly what they've all wanted as a gamer, but now they can't cheer for a team.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that one.
But it's obviously not going to happen, but it's fun.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Max
I
Chaos.
think another one I have for Xbox is, and I think this is once again an obvious one, we're going to get a full gameplay trailer for Fable with a release date of November.
That would be surprising, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. I think we'll see a full gameplay trailer there.
Speaking of unlikely with my things, I'm going to pull out Square Enix now.
Okay.
I could do a million things, but if I don't say new Chrono game, I'm going completely against every part of my JRPG being. And I'm pretty sure that the likelihood of me wishing a new Chrono game into existence is like the same likelihood of me as a sports fan hoping for the Toronto Maple Leafs to just will themselves to a Stanley Cup. So, that's my shot in the dark that's probably never going to come to fruition, but hey, that's why it's called a dream prediction.
Yeah. My dream prediction for Square Enix comes out and they kind of just rub the salt in Cyberpunk's face or in their wound and say we're coming out with a new Deus Ex game. It's everything you wanted in a Cyberpunk game.
I mean, I hope so, because I tried playing Mankind Divided and I could not get into that at all because it was so boring to me. I
love the Deus Ex games.
It's frustrating, though, because I think we've had the conversation before. Human Revolution, to me, was so good. And then I booted up Mankind Divided, and within an hour, I'm like, I hate this. This is so dull to me.
Yeah, it was a little bit, the scope, it was interesting, because the scope was really, really big, really small, in that you were pretty much in, one part of Prague, I think, for most, if not all, the game. And it was kind of boring. I was like, is this it? But at the same time, it was neat that they did a whole level or a whole game in basically one little map, because I got to the point where I started knowing where all the different locations were within the game. And I was able to kind of be like, oh, I need to go to this place, walk around the corner, go here. And it was really refreshing. And I look at games now with open worlds, and it was kind of neat to have an open world game in the sense I can go anywhere. But it was so small that I was able to actually know where
actually getting to go anywhere instead of just having a million copy paste or invisible walls.
Well, not even that, but you often get in these open world games, and they're so big that you're just I'm just following the little crumb trail, the little breadcrumb trail on the map to just take me to the next spot, because I don't really know where anything is. Whereas the map was so small that I was like, oh, okay, I know where the bank is, because it's basically the game takes place on a city block that you can kind of figure out where everything is, and I thought that was kind of neat. So I'd love to see another, Deus Ex game.
Yeah.
Adam?
Are you already out of your list?
No, I've still got a couple more, but I figure you can have one.
I'll have another fun one here. Take two. So we all know what everybody wants to hear. So let's do it. A brand new GTA game finally existing. Except it's a Vice City remaster.
Would anyone be upset with that, though?
No, but it would be funny. Yeah. It would still be funny, because everybody looking at GTA 6 for forever being like, they finally see something different, looking like, oh my god, it's a new game, and then it just says Vice City Remaster, and they'll be like, I don't hate that, but...
See, I would go one more level for trolling and just do GTA V, and then have the Vice City come out afterwards.
Oh yeah, well that's exactly what I mean. You gotta go full on.
Yeah. Do you think there's a chance we're going to see a new Bioshock at the Take-Two?
I wouldn't be shocked if there was, but I mean, I don't know. When something's gone for so long, you kind of just assume it's just missing in action forever, and then it just shows up, and you're like, oh, they're making those again.
Oh yeah,
Beyond Good and Evil 2. Oh,
where would you want to have the next Bioshock take place if it were to come out?
In space. I'm not even kidding. We've already done in the ocean. We've done in the sky. You can only go higher. You can't go further under. Well, you guess you could do an underground one.
Could.
It probably wouldn't look. It probably wouldn't look as good though. Just hey guys, here's a bunch of brown tunnels.
Yeah, but then you might also lose that aspect of it'd be kind of cool to do a Bioshock in space with a 1960s retro kind of look.
Yeah, it's like if Russia actually went first and they had their crazy Kremlin space stations.
So oh, here we go. Russian Kremlin on the moon. There you go, Bioshock.
Yeah, moon. Okay, fine. Bioshock moon bases. Let's do it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that would be kind of
just take influence from what's the friggin'? I think it's Moonraker. Was the Bond movie? In space?
Oh yeah, that was a terrible one. I hated Moonraker.
It's fine. Just go from the aesthetic.
But yeah, you get that like 1960s kind of like almost what they have going on like a little bit in Deathloop, and just kind of have it like that. And you can almost like make it like the whole ideology can like be sort of like a communist ideology, and just it'd be interesting because they always talk about like those. They always kind of take like here's an ideology and they just stretch it too far. And I mean, I think it kind of writes itself in that sense.
Yeah,
I don't know. So yeah, that was kind of the ones I had for Take Two was Bioshock. What's another one I had here? Let's see.
We should save Nintendo for the end.
Okay.
End off strong.
What did I have for Xbox?
Because I think you had. I'll keep going while you're still thinking there.
Yeah, go for it.
I have two left before Nintendo. I have Capcom, which I'm just. It's like me throwing another Chrono Shot in the dark. It's like, guys, make a friggin' console Breath of Fire game, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
It's been since PlayStation. Like, not PlayStation 3, PlayStation. But you made a mobile game. Congratulations. You did the thing that everybody does with every property. Good for you, Capcom. You've been doing so well right now. Why don't you cap it off by showing JRPGs what it's supposed to be like? Because Square, Lord knows, that'd be a great thing to shove in Square's face. Hey, guys, here's what a good JRPG looks like.
Yeah.
And then the other one that I had before Nintendo was Bandai Namco, where I didn't really have much else. So I'm like, here's something that'd be a cool idea. Do a VR game of Ace Combat or a Gundam pilot game in VR.
They did an Ace Combat game in VR, or at least they had like some levels in it. Yeah, the Ace Combat 7, I played it.
Okay,
it
specifically
awesome.
Made for VR then.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, because I think I used to play like 3 missions.
Or I changed my mind, Gundam Pilot VR. Let's do it. I'm sure it probably even exists in Japan.
Pilot VR would be awesome.
I'm sure Japan has something already, but they always keep the good shit away from us, so...
Dude, you've totally sold me. Like, I don't even watch Gundam, and I'm just like, yes, I would play a Gundam VR game. That would be sick.
Or like absolutely like chaotic on your eyes as you watch you flailing a sword back and forth.
That's not. Someone's gonna take a GIF of that, and it's just gonna look so inappropriate.
Good. It gets us traction online. I'm down.
If you want to see, you have to watch the video on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. So I'll go with my last one, and then we can jump into Nintendo. I don't know where this is going to occur. I would guess maybe the Xbox floor, but Cyberpunk 2077 launches announces the release date of its next gen game and its first major DLC.
I feel like that might be a stretch.
They come out. Sorry?
I said I feel like that might actually be a stretch based on how well they've been patching it.
Well, they've gone dark, they've gone silent. We haven't heard anything from them in months. I know they partnered with Xbox. That, or they do it on the PC game floor. And they just kind of say like, hey, look, things were bad. We have a new edition coming out. We have a new DLC coming out. It'll be available September, whatever. And they kind of like throw out a whole bunch of things like, here's everything that we've been doing for the last 6 months. Because I think the last update was in February. So, yeah. I say I think E3 is a good time for them to come out and kind of be like, hey, we screwed up. We didn't deliver what we promised. Here's the first DLC. It's all, in-game footage. There's no, this isn't like cinematics or anything like that.
Please, we made a good game. Just please give us some money. We made so little compared to what we thought we would, and the investors are pissed. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we're going to see our next Nintendo... or our next Cyberpunk update.
Cyberpunk on Nintendo, yeah, that would be a hell of an announcement. It'd be like, guys.
It's now on the Switch.
And somehow it'll work better than PS4 because reasons.
Well, people just won't know the difference if it was on the Switch, whether it's not running optimized or if that's just how the Switch
They'd be like,
looks.
Hey, that's a Switch game.
I'm what's
kidding.
Your predictions for Nintendo?
Sorry, Switch fan. Actually, not. I'm not sorry, Switch fans.
What's your prediction for Nintendo?
Another one that I know they won't do because they love milking their customers, but I said, it'd be a great idea. The launch of something that I just aptly named the Nintendo Experience with 2 eyes.
Okay.
So, subscription model, not like their monthly subscription for playing all the retro games. Straight up, subscription model, gets everything, includes the retro stuff, online service, all that, and you get 2 free games a month, and go out there and give Breath of the Wild as your first freebie for the first month to really get that thing going. Because here's the thing, Nintendo, if that existed, most people already have Breath of the Wild. You're not losing anything. You're basically getting people to buy a Switch tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Now, they would never do it because they love money. And by money, I mean money from the specific segment of the population they've just cornered.
What are the chances you think we see a new Mario Kart come out or get announced this year? Or even Diddy Kong Race? I guess they don't have Rare. I guess they still have Donkey Kong though. For
a Mario Kart though, I could see it soon because it's been long enough. They basically ported the Wii U version on. I think it's soon enough that they could be doing one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked by that.
Yeah, it's a long shot. I don't think we're going to see it, but it'd be kind of cool to see a new one of those.
Is that all you got?
Right. That's all I got. What else do you have?
Nope, that's it. So I want to do one last thing. What's your favorite moment from E3 ever?
My favorite moment from E3 was years ago. Do you remember when they had the what the hell was his name? Kevin. It's not. Was it Kevin? It's
Kevin
not Kevin
Butler, the
Kevin
PlayStation
Butler.
guy.
Yeah, the PlayStation guy. When they had Kevin VP of everything, and when he came out and he was just amping up the crowd, and he's just talking straight to the gamers, where he's like, "Hey, I know you guys stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning for a trophy that isn't real, but it is. This is for you guys." And it was the best.
It was literally watching gaming Stephen Colbert coming out and talking to his people. It was great.
100%. I know there's so much bad blood that happened between him and Sony, but
which is such a shame because he really was the best. That was the best time for Sony marketing because every commercial just perfect.
Yeah,
every time.
Honestly, I would watch those on YouTube just.
I actually want to go.
So good.
Now while I'm editing the show and getting all the clips ready for the rest of the week, I really want to go back and watch all those clips again.
You know what? There's a segment for 1 week when it's slow. We'll do best Kevin Butler commercials and rank them. Yeah.
Now, here's the sad part for me. My favorite moment ever is probably the most frustrating thing ever because it was such a downer when I actually got it. I remember, as a musician, losing my mind when Miyamoto and a couple of people came out and played their demo of Wii Music.
Oh.
Because I thought that was such a cool idea. And I literally looked at my brother and went, that is going to be the fucking best thing I get to play all year because now I get to play Nintendo songs, play instruments I never get the chance to do, and get to make a general ass out of myself. And I thought that would be great. And then I got it and played it for about an hour and went, there's nothing to this thing. What the fuck did I just get suckered into?
Yep.
It's almost as bad as the Kinect because its first trailer at E3 was they did a really good job of selling what that thing could do. And it's almost as funny as the entire show of Microsoft trying to tell us everything about the Xbox One and us hating it. The online DRM, the no-use games, the sports box, and then Sony coming out and being like, hey guys, here's how we use games. And they just hand the copy to the other guy. And he's like, thanks.
I have to imagine that Sony's War Room literally just had this whole E3 presentation. They're like, guys, we have to scrap all this.
We're scrapping half of it just to dig at Xbox for the entire show.
Boys, get the coffee going. We're going to be working on this all night.
They're just high-fiving, being like, this is going to be the best.
Yeah, this is basically when you have a group presentation and the person does a terrible job and then your teacher's like, we've run out of time. We'll try this again tomorrow. And then you guys are like, all right, we could just totally blow this out of the water. And yeah, I remember that one. And that was just it was so good, but so bad to watch because they were just dunking hard on Microsoft to no end.
Because, other than that, we've had meme moments. We had obviously Keanu Reeves. You're breathtaking.
Yeah.
There was that. There was also probably the most emotional thing, which was when Mario Rabbids got revealed and Miyamoto was talking about the game and the actual director for it was crying because, you as a guy not working for Nintendo thinking Miyamoto was going to talk positively about a game that you made, that's a pretty crazy thing to be in.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool stuff. I like game reveals. Because I've only really paid attention to E3 in the last decade. I don't think I paid attention to E3 pre-Xbox 360. So I don't remember a lot of stuff. Like, I see everybody talk about when Twilight Princess got revealed and Miyamoto came out with the sword and shield. I never saw it. I don't even think I've seen the clip, actually.
Really? I think I've seen the clip.
So, like, yeah. But I can think of, like, the one thing that I think really jumped me out of my chair was the Final Fantasy VII Remake. And other than that, like, more often than not, it's more just like, oh, that looks so cool. Like Horizon did. But, like, more often than not, you pretty much have a good idea on what should be coming soon, so most things don't surprise you.
Yeah. Just quickly, I don't want to go too much into this, but, like, what do you think this E3 is going to be like? Is this going to be remembered as one of the better ones, weaker ones, or just kind of in the middle and forgotten?
It has the potential to be an incredible year because people are so ready to see normal coming back, to see all the things to look forward to. This could be amazing. Or it could be like last year where there's just a lot of trailers, but we don't see anything that we go like, oh, that was so memorable. Because without the stage and without the fan interaction, there's a little bit missing. So there's that. But I mean, if you have a really big, steady stream of games coming up from all these different developers, it completely supersedes it. It doesn't matter if there's not that Keanu Reeves moment. It doesn't matter if there's not that moment where you get to hear the fans go nuts. If a really awesome game gets revealed that we didn't see coming, we'll still remember that. Because if the game, well, assuming the game comes out, then we won't remember it if it doesn't. But yeah, there's still a lot of potential here. I think there's more potential for it to be forgettable than it is to be amazing, though.
Yeah.
Because without the environment, it does have a lot more to prove.
See, I'm of the mind, I think that this has the potential to be a highly remembered E3. And I think one of the reasons for that is that because we haven't had a lot of leaks, we've just got rumors. And so we don't really know what's coming. Like, typically at this point we'd be getting, leaks of, oh man, like we just got this promotional, insert or something like that. We really know nothing of what's coming to E3.
You're right. There could be a lot of surprises this year.
And because we didn't have an E3 last year, there's a lot of people who had projects that they were ready to show that they didn't get a chance to. So I think we're going to have a lot of, I'm not saying this is a guarantee, but I think that there's a potential that we're going to get a lot of big new games and like games that we haven't heard of or that we weren't expecting. And so I think there's a potential to see that.
But the difference is, will it be like stuff that we'll be going like, oh, that was so cool? Or is it going to be something we'll remember? Because we won't remember the actual like video package, but we'll remember the reveal.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like, we're not going to see the moment. Like, there might be a couple of things. Ubisoft might do something quirky again because they always do. Maybe, you know what? The Just Dance number might be big this year because now they can add production value to it because it's not on a stage and live. They might be able to do something crazy with that.
Man, the Just Live, like choreographed things are so dumb, but I weirdly like them. Like it's so Look, Ubisoft.
Where else do you get to talk about Assassin's Creed and then see somebody come out in a shark costume? Okay, like
yeah, and a giant panda wearing like a marching band outfit. Yeah, it's so dumb, but it's like no one else would do it, and I'm just so glad that Ubisoft does.
So speaking of dumb, you have a Cyberpunk review to do.
I do, actually. So ladies and gentlemen.
I can't wait for that segue.
Ladies and gentlemen, yes, I've been talking about Cyberpunk for, I feel like it's been months now, and I finally beat the main campaign, and I'm about 80 hours into the game. So I've completed it, rolled credits, and so I thought I'd kind of come to you guys with an untimely review. We did sort of an in-progress one, but I feel like now is the time. We
basically covered your journey.
Yeah, basically, I can kind of watch my whole journey through Cyberpunk now through this podcast. So yeah, I thought I'd give you guys an untimely review. As you guys know, we are too poor and not influential enough to be able to get games on time and get them to you in time for reviews. So we come to you with our reviews when they're done. In this particular instance, I just finished Cyberpunk, so I thought I'd give you my thoughts on it. Cyberpunk. It's a great game that has a very tragic story. And so I'll start by saying, first of all, I love Cyberpunk. Is it a flawed game? 100%. I definitely think that it got a lot of bad publicity because of the way it launched. I think the way that the state that it's in now is not perfect, but I think it's acceptable enough that you can enjoy it. The way I kind of associate it now is I think of it as a equivalent to Fallout. So Fallout, we always kind of laugh at Fallout and Bethesda games being sort of, glitchy and problematic. And I think that Cyberpunk is about the same level of where a Bethesda game gets launched. It's not acceptable. It's not, perfect, but it is functional. And I kind of feel like the hype for Cyberpunk has kind of been, its detriment. I think if we had lower expectations and it was released in the state that it currently is in, we'd kind of be like, okay, yeah, this is, buggy, but it's acceptable from what we're used to for games like I said, Fallout. That being said, there is an awesome game here. The story, I really liked it. I felt that it was paced well. Like the one of the aspects that I was kind of disappointed with is that the game is a lot shorter. I think I probably could have gotten through the main quest in about 20 hours if I had just beelined it. But I think that would be a disservice. One of the things that I really like about Cyberpunk and CD Projekt Red in general is the way that they build missions, and it's very rarely is it just filler garbage, go collect 5 this or whatever. It's typically, there's some sort of characterization, there's something that progresses the story. And so I played a lot of the side missions, and the side missions I think are the best part of the game. So you've got a bunch of different characters that you can build relationships with and form stories with. And I felt that that really contributed towards the main story. So my character had, I'm not going to go into spoilers or anything, but my character was a street kid, kind of raised in the slums and kind of, running with gangs and everything. And by having these character moments with other characters and doing their side quests, like he had a full character progression throughout the game that where I ended was different. And I thought it was really interesting that they were able to kind of weave that narrative that kind of felt like there was a character arc for him, and it wasn't just here I started at A and I'm still there. Like there's a whole bunch of different ways it can go, and I thought that the story, while short, was really good, and I feel that the side quests and all those sort of activities even enhance that on top of it. So when you do those character stories, it really adds to the story. Gameplay wise, I think the gameplay is really good. I like the fact that the gameplay feels smooth, and I was rolling with pistols the entire time, and I never once felt that I was underarmed. I typically find that when I'm playing with pistols in games that it kind of feels like I'm using a pellet gun at a in a war, and it kind of sucks. But I felt I was able to play with pistols as a full character development, and it was perfectly fine. The hacking is awesome. The key issue that I have with the game progression is that I feel like it's very hard to come across money and to get points, so I never actually even maxed out my entire skill tree, and I probably went halfway through the game without actually like doing all the modifications of the weapons. One, because I didn't realize how it fully worked, but also I felt that it was really hard to come across money and kind of get those things built. So I didn't really use a lot of the cybernetic stuff as much as I would like to. I still did, and I was very much a pistol wielding. I literally played it as a cyberpunk, so pistol wielding, hacking kind of character, and it was fun. But I kind of wish I had more opportunities to do more. In terms of performance, the sound is good. I thought that it was adequate. I kind of felt that I don't really remember the soundtrack too much, so it wasn't really that great. But I felt like Keanu Reeves kind of doing his role was the best part of that game, and the voice acting was good. But kind of underwhelming. Nothing super noticeable there. And the performance, like I said, it is kind of problematic. At moments I'm like, this looks great. This is, I really like how this looks. The aesthetic is really awesome. There is definitely a great art direction in the game that is hindered sometimes by the performance. And so there was clipping. There were times where, characters were janky, basically like what you would expect in a Bethesda game. And so it took away from the aesthetics of the game, but I generally really liked it. So I would say, yeah, if you're interested in it, go play it. If you can hold off and wait, there is definitely a game worth exploring once it's at a level that you're comfortable with. But I think it is a game that is worth. It's unfortunate that not more people have had a chance to try it and may not get a chance to try it. It is a fantastic game with a good story, and I'm excited to see where the game ends up. I do think there's some potential here, and I do think that it's gotten at this point a bad rap in terms of what the game is like now. But I understand where it was before, and that is definitely warranted in how it's felt. So
I was going to ask, if you got this game as is now at the launch, how would you have felt? Without any of the baggage, how would you have felt about this game?
Yeah, if you're coming in cold with no sort of preconceived notions or anything, I think you would be okay with it. You would be like, this is kind of it feels more like a AA sort of game. It doesn't feel broken. It
still needs some work, but it wouldn't be like a deal breaker probably.
Exactly. If you're interested in this, you'd be like, okay, it's no buggy than other games would be. I've had some crashes here and there. It's not to say that it's perfect, and I'm not trying to excuse it. There are problems with the game, but it is not detrimental to the fact that
So it's acceptable at this point, really.
It is. Yeah, I would like to see them develop it more and fix more of the problems. It is not going to live up to the expectations that people had for it. But I think if you come in just looking for a game to play, this is not an unplayable game. This is a really fun game that you can see had a lot of potential, and there's a lot of things that maybe got cut. And I think we've seen that. We've seen like on the internet this week that people have been finding like parts of the game that were built that got cut. And so I think it's one where the scope was too large and they had to rein it in, and you can see that. And it's unfortunate, but I think for what is there, if you come in cold without, all that background knowledge of what the launch was like, it's a fully acceptable game.
And if they wanted to, they could keep adding to it. I mean, No Man's Sky is still getting new content, so you never know. If they really believe in it and they really want to see what they can get out of it, they could still like slowly add to this.
Yeah, and this is something I would like to see. Like, the world that they built is awesome. Like, all the different, like areas and communities, like it's a world that I am very interested in and I really like, and I would almost like to just see DLC where you can just go in and do different sort of smaller stories.
Yeah, I would really love for a lot of games, especially open world games, because it would work best for it, that companies would have like a small team that all their job is for the next 5 years to just slowly make like just tiny little things to add into it. It doesn't even have to be like
comic books.
Yeah, like it doesn't even have to be like overly like elaborate paid DLC. It can be like, hey, $2, this unlocks this tiny little corner of the map with like 5 new missions that like adds an hour. Mm-hmm. Like even just something to come back to. Like that'd be kind of neat. And obviously a team to always have on the side too, to like any bug, like just remaining bugs still. So that way, whatever the next project is for the team, they're all busy doing that, and you have this tiny core that all they're doing is just either making a few tweaks here and there, just making sure everything's still working fine, or just like making some tiny assets. I'm not talking skins because that's cheating out on it, but like just a little bit of transformative content just to make that city even more bustling. Because the problem with so many of these games, especially ones that have these big cityscapes, is that there are so many buildings with nothing to do in them. So it would be pretty cool over time. And GTA was good for this with their map, and that's obviously why they've kept making content for. It's why it was a big deal with the new heist that they came out, that it actually brought a new island to the map, because normally what they've done is just keep adding little bits to the map that already exists. There are so many ways around it, and it would be really cool to see more games like that get the treatment where once it's done, like a year after it's done and they're done like bug fixing, they just leave it and it's time for the next thing. It'd be nice to have like a game of that ilk just have a slow base so that anybody that comes to it later down the road is suddenly getting this crazy good deal. And at the same time, people who played it way back at the very beginning can come back to it 2-3 years down the road. And sure, it might be adding a couple extra hours to a play they've already done, or they really love the game, go back and play a new run through, and you get all this new stuff you never knew existed before.
Yeah, and that's totally where I'm sitting right now. Like I finished the game and I loved it, and I'm going to play it again. I want to play as a corpo, and like the role playing aspect was the best. Like I was a street kid. I didn't fuck around with corpos. Like they were the enemy, and I was a man of the people with like my fellow like street kids. But I'd like to play around where I'm like corpo and I've got like my head held high and I look down on those people and play it as a totally different way. And I feel like that's one of the beauties of the game. But I'm done the game, but I'm not done with that world, and I'm not done with that sort of genre, and I'd love to explore it more. So take that as like an endorsement of what the game is like, and that I'm done, but I'm not quite done, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I know you haven't played yet. Is there any other kind of questions? I'm not going to go into spoilers or anything, but like any other questions?
No, because I mean, at this point, like I said, I'm still waiting for the next gen update, so I'm sure at some point CD Projekt Red will give me that information when I need it. So
yeah, no, I think it'll be interesting to see what the next gen looks like, but I mean, it doesn't look terrible on the PS5.
It's not even the I want to know like when they've had a pretty adequate like if as soon as it's back on the PlayStation Store and a next gen version's out, that means they put some significant work into it. So that's where I kind of go as my baseline of, all right, this is probably at least a like more acceptable game to play now.
See, I think that the patch 2.2 or 1.2 does fix probably 50 to 60% of the problems.
Yeah. It's just ideally, like, let's assume it's the end of the year is when, like, PS5 version's out. Maybe it's March. I don't know. Like, whenever that is, that's where my brain goes, okay, so you not only have had all this time to fix a chunk of your bugs, but now you've made it so that it's taking advantage of the SSD, it's taking advantage of the hardware, it's going to look a little bit better. That's everything I want. And it would probably be 60 frames, too, which is a double plus for me. So that's, like, everything that I could ask for. The game's probably by then got a good enough amount of fixes in there that I'm probably not going to see significant crashing, all that jazz. Maybe there's even some fun like little additive stuff that they've put in there like slowly over time. You never know. So
yeah, this is definitely a game that regardless of when you get into it, I would highly recommend checking it out. So yeah, I'd give it probably 7.5. If I was an average person, I really liked it and I was obsessed with the world, so I'd give it like 8.5. But that is if you're listening to me and you're dying to play Cyberpunk and you love the Cyberpunk genre and you want like a good RPG story, like it's an 8.5. If you're just, generally just a gamer and you're just interested in checking it out, probably more of a 7.5.
Yeah.
So, Adam, that about concludes what I've got on the docket. Is there anything you want to bring up before we wrap it up?
I'm not going to say much about it, but if you do not have Crypt of the Necrodancer on PlayStation, get it because it's $3 and it's incredible.
Ooh. I do not have that. I was looking at it at one point. I think I'm going to grab it.
It is like, if anybody who's played Fall Guys, you know that even when you lose, it's kind of fun. That's Crypt of the Necrodancer. You literally lose a map in like 5 minutes and you'll be like, nah, that was still fun though.
Awesome. Yeah. Did you see the reviews for Ratchet and Clank coming out, or are you thinking?
I haven't really paid attention to it yet. I'm trying to stay away from. I try to stay away from reviews right away because I don't really want to think about scores at this point.
Mm-hmm. Are you thinking of grabbing the Ratchet and Clank?
Not anytime soon. It'll be like a half off kind of game for me. I wasn't too big on the remake, so.
Oh, okay. See, things are locked down. I'm able to go opening up. I'm able to go to a store, and I'm so excited to go pick that up on Friday. So. It'll give me something to play now that I have to get over Cyberpunk. So, all right, let's wrap it up there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. If you are one of our regular listeners, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate having you here. Just a reminder, next week, I'm going to be on the Project X Talk podcast. You can find them on YouTube at Project X Talks. I think it gets loaded up on Thursday, so check it out then. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email us your questions at pixelplaypodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you guys and get your questions on the air. If you want to just follow us, you can follow us on Pixel Playcast or both on Twitter and Instagram. We've been posting more stuff there, so we'd really appreciate it. If you're listening to us on YouTube, leave a comment. Have you played Cyberpunk? What do you think of it? What about E3? What are you hoping to see out of it? If you're listening to us on the audio feeds, leave us a review, leave us a subscription, send us a like, all that kind of stuff. It really helps with getting us out there so that others can know about this podcast. If this is the first time, we really appreciate having you, and we hope it was good for you. We'll talk to you guys next week when we come back with our E3 reactions. Talk to you guys next week. Bye for now.